It is my pleasure to introduce the Associate Dean of the Undergraduate Program and the Ralph L. Sheets Professor of Management, Dr. Ken Brown.
Thank you, Professor Furman. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Tippie College of Business and the University of Iowa, I welcome all of you, graduating seniors, family members, friends, faculty, and staff of the college, to this commencement in this beautiful space, Hancher Auditorium, on this beautiful day. All of us are here are proud of our university, our college, and especially today, our graduates. This commencement allows us to honor their accomplishments. We come together to celebrate and reflect upon an important milestone in the lives of these students, the completion of their undergraduate education. Today, many emotions fill this auditorium. For graduates, these emotions range from the excitement and anticipation of our celebration to uncertainty and apprehension about the future. For parents and spouses, the range of emotions includes pride, certainly, and in some cases, I suspect, a profound sense of financial relief. Before proceeding further, I'd like to introduce the faculty and invited guests joining us today to honor our graduates as they earn their degrees. Please stand when I introduce you. Joining me on the platform, Kevin Donato, Associate Director, Instruction, and Director, Undergraduate Program in Accounting. Jay Christensen Zelansky, Professor, Management and Organizations. Patrick Johans, Lecturer and Director, Business Analytics Part-Time Graduate Program. Sarah Gardiel, Henry E. Tippie Dean and Professor of Marketing. Jennifer Furman, Associate Professor of Instruction in Economics. Montserrat Fuentes, Executive Vice President and Provost, Professor of Statistics and Actuarial Science. Brian Richmond, Professor of Practice and Director, Hawkinson Institute of Business Finance. Tom Walsh, Associate Professor of Practice and Director of Undergraduate Studies in Marketing. Tippie faculty serving as marshals today are John Garfinkel, Henry B. Tippie Research Professor of Finance, and Bob Walker, Lecturer, John Papajohn Entrepreneurial Center. Thank you all for joining us today. I would also like to give special thanks and recognition to the members of the Iowa Brass Quintet. On trumpets, Amy Shandell and Sierra Christ. On horn, Irene Tang. On trombone, Todd Shandell. And on tuba, David Mercedes. All of today's proceedings will be interpreted by Scotty Van Isingham. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Dean Gardiel. Dean Gardiel is Dean of the Henry B. Tippie College of Business at the University of Iowa in Iowa City, Iowa, occupying that role since 2012. Previously, at the University of Tennessee, she served as the Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs from 2008 to 2012, as well as the Beeman Professor of Business and Assistant and Associate Dean of the College of Business. She earned an undergraduate degree in marketing and an MBA from the University of Arkansas and a PhD in marketing from the University of Houston. Dr. Gardiel has a strong background in business and business education, having taught at the collegiate and executive education levels for over 30 years, as well as consulting with industry. Her research focuses on the growth and improvement of marketing principles and understanding and creating customer value. She's played an active leadership role in many business education associations, including the MBA Roundtable, the Graduate Management Admissions Council, or GMAC, and the AACSB, which is the International Accrediting Association for colleges of business like ours. She's currently board chair for the Green State Credit Union and an independent director for the United Fire Group and Learning Tree International. She also serves on the board of the United Way of Johnson and Washington counties. This is, sadly, Dean Gardiel's last commencement, as she will be transitioning to a new role as Dean of the Macy College of Business at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. She's done incredible work for us here in the Tippie College of Business, and we appreciate her in ways that words are hard to put in place. She will be greatly missed. Dean Gardiel.
First, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this commencement ceremony. Graduating students, families, friends, faculty, and staff. This is a very big day for us, and it's worthy of a grand ceremony and celebration. It marks the end of years-long journeys for our graduates, as well as the fulfillment of life goals. So it seems that you and I are in the same place right now. We're both closing important and beloved chapters of our lives. We are all leaving behind the familiar and taking on the risk of something new. We're both setting out on our next excellent adventure. Now, by definition, an adventure is an exciting undertaking that's full of risk, that's bold, but it also has an uncertain outcome, doesn't it? Are any of you feeling that way right now? Yeah. I know I am. Anyone who reads or watches movies knows that having an adventure is at the heart of self-discovery. This is the mythical hero's journey. One of life's truths is that it's only when we put ourselves in unfamiliar and unknown situations that we start to truly understand what makes us tick. What are our superpowers and our weaknesses? And finally, whether we will have the grace to allow ourselves to learn and grow, sometimes even through failure. Now, one thing that separates me from these students, graduates behind me, is that I have a few more adventures under my belt. Note the gray hairs. I don't know everything, but I have learned a few things along the way. So today I will share Gardiel's best rules of the road for navigating an excellent adventure. Rule number 1, there are many paths. When you pull out a Google map or another GPS system, the first image that comes up is you, where you are. And then you type in a destination, you hit directions, and typically what pops up is multiple paths between point A and point B. Some are quicker, some are more scenic, some include side trips that may be fun or educational, or maybe unwelcome and unavoidable detours. What I want the graduates to know is that there is never only one right path. Don't be afraid that you're somehow going to mess things up if you make a wrong turn. The point of the journey is the journey. You can learn from every situation. My daughter decided that she would follow the typical lawyer path and joined a large corporate firm in a big city that seemed to provide everything that she was looking for. Financial stability, and she did have loans, student loans, prestige, and a cool apartment in a great place to live. Except she hated it. Every day she found herself in a soul-killing job, at least for her. She was at her computer that was keeping count all day long of her billable hours, and she was shuffling through faceless reports and documents and contracts. And while 80% of that job was not fulfilling, for her, one precious day each week, she worked with the patients of her healthcare client. And that allowed her to interview with people that were in medical distress. She loved working for them, explaining how the law worked, and then appearing before judges to advocate for them. And after a year, she left that job and turned toward a new vision. She ultimately took a pay cut, moved to a small mountain town in Georgia, and went to work at the district attorney's office. And she is in heaven. That year was not wasted at all. She learned a lot about herself, she learned a lot about the law, and that job that mostly did not suit her also gave her the confidence and the clarity to move to a very different and better place. Rule number 2, the toughest decisions are choosing between two equally attractive alternative paths. Or as my husband says, you cannot go to every party. This rule is a corollary to rule number 1. There are many paths, but you do have to choose between them along the way. As Yogi Berra said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. As Robert Frost reminds us, there will always be the road not taken. I found myself in that very spot recently. I truly love my job as the Dean of the Tippie College of Business. Every day has been a privilege and a joy. And as you guys know, Iowa City just rocks it. I'm passionate about helping business schools step up to the demands of a quickly changing world and helping create new programs to address student needs and changes in the market, finding ways for colleges to embrace and achieve their own unique places in the world. This summer, I discovered such a place in the Massey College of Business at Belmont University in Nashville. It needed all of those things. And not only that, but it would take me back to the South and closer to my family. So, 2 equally wonderful opportunities. But choices must be made. I will cry all the way down I-40 when I leave Iowa City. And I will be excited about the new possibilities ahead. Sometimes you need to simultaneously hold both the sadness of what will not be, along with the joy of what is ahead. That's just life. Rule number 3, don't stop moving. In today's business schools, we are preparing our students for jobs that do not exist today. Due to technology, globalization, scientific inventions, innovation, communications, the world is changing in ways that are so fast that at best, as educators, we can see 5, maybe 10 years out. Beyond that, we are guessing what jobs will be lost or created because of artificial intelligence, what legacy companies and careers will survive, which ones will die, what totally new industries are going to be created, and what new workforce skills are going to be required. More than any previous generation, I believe that our graduates today will need to embrace lifelong learning in order to stay relevant. You're going to need to change directions, ask for guidance, and continually learn new skills. So how do you do that? There are many ways. Choose jobs and opportunities that allow you to grow and expand and take on new responsibilities. Get mentoring. Use professional development opportunities. And I know you guys don't want to hear this today, but you may want to come back to school. It may be the last thing on your mind right now, but business schools will be stepping up to provide what working professionals need, when they need it, how they need it. So today is not the end of your journey by a long shot. Don't ever stop. Rule number 4, be a courteous traveler who makes the journey better for everyone around you, or avoid road rage. If you show up every day with a positive attitude, a strong work ethic, and a problem-solving mentality, you will succeed in any organization. You will be known as the go-to employee who gets things done well. And you will leave your organization a better place for you having been there. I also believe in leaving your community a better place than you found it. Don't be a taker who extracts what you need from the place that you live. Be the person who gives back in time, talent, and treasure. Through social programs, nonprofits, civic engagement, religious and service organizations, these activities are the glue that holds our communities and I believe our country together. In this way, you can leave the world a better place as well. Last rule, number 5, keep your tank filled. As much as I find enormous satisfaction in my career, you cannot build a fulfilled life on work alone. Your most important decision will be how you invest in yourself outside of work. This is the time that you will need to refill your gas tank. I call this time for me soul food. For me, it looks like time with family and friends, getting outside into nature, taking care of myself physically with exercise and sleep, and nurturing my spirit through meditation, reflection, and devotion. Your soul food may look different, but here's what I know for sure. Like the flight attendant's instructions before you take off, you must put on your oxygen mask first, or you simply will not be able to take care of yourself or anyone around you. These are my 5 rules of the road for navigating an excellent adventure. They won't keep you from challenges or pain or heartache. Nothing can. But they will help you to continue to become the person that you need to be and the person that you aspire to be. The world needs you to be that person. I wish you all Godspeed in your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for your inspiring remarks and for all that you've done and given us over these years. The business world expects great things from Tippie graduates, and from what I know of them, our graduates have what it takes to meet and exceed those expectations. And speaking of our graduates, it is my pleasure to introduce today's student speaker, Scott Tippie. Scott Tippie is from Iowa City, Iowa, and a third-generation Hawkeye. He's graduating today with a BBA in accounting and in finance. During his time at the University of Iowa, Scott gave tours of the business school as a business student ambassador and served as a peer mentor for first-year students in the Tippie Direct Admit seminar. He was also involved in Alpha Kappa Psi Professional Business Fraternity and the Money Think mentoring program. In 2018, Scott was recognized as a Tippie 21 Under 21 award recipient and studied abroad in London during the interim term. After graduation, Scott will take the Certified Public Accountant exams and then start as an advisory consultant for Deloitte in Minneapolis. Scott is joined here today by many of his family and close friends.
Thank you, Ken. I'd like to start by giving my sincerest congratulations to everyone graduating, to all the parents and families who have supported these students during their time at Iowa, and a huge thank you to all the faculty and staff who've put their time and effort into preparing us graduates for life after college. When I started my first year at Iowa, I never felt like a strong student academically. I'd found success outside of the classroom in activities like choir, orchestra, and soccer, but I never felt like one of those powerhouse students, nor ever been recognized for my efforts in the classroom before coming to Tippie. However, as I developed as a college student, it became easier to feel confident about my academic ability. My confidence grew through studying Introduction to Management with friends and quizzing each other on SMART goals and process gains and losses. It began to feel normal to ask other students about upcoming exams and then compare and sometimes complain about exam questions. I looked forward to office hours with Lisa Dutchick as she would ask about my family and life outside of managerial accounting. I felt accomplished and always relieved after finishing another grueling team project in Intro to Marketing or Intro to Law. Although I didn't realize it until much later, the collaborative nature in Tippie gave me confidence that I can be a problem solver. Working in groups of other Tippie students actually motivated me even more to succeed. The positive relationships I found in Tippie fueled my belief that I can be a leader. Tippie provides a comfortable environment for students to connect with recruiters and alumni while searching for internships and jobs. While going through the recruiting process, I relied on my relationship building skills to help me stand out. I knew there were stronger applicants than me on paper, but I was determined in my ability to connect with employers and articulate my skills. Still, I worried how my Tippie education would stack up against interns from other Big Ten schools. I thought that just because I got along well with a couple of employees and recruiters didn't mean I could lead a team. How could I set myself apart if I didn't know how to do anything they asked me to? The answer lay within Tippie's culture that we immerse ourselves in each day. Listen intently and always ask questions. Build relationships with colleagues. Create that positive work environment. And often, the most challenging for most of us, don't feel afraid to be wrong. As I practiced these concepts each day during my internship, the learning followed quickly. My questions became more thorough and thoughtful, and sometimes interns would come to me with questions. I began to add value to my team and developed into a leader within our intern group. What we practice every day in our classes, group projects, and student organizations prepares us to be leaders in the workforce. Tippie has influenced us to create meaningful relationships and connect with the people we meet. Although Tippie maintains a collaborative and people-focused culture, business school stereotypes about success still exist. Many of my conversations with friends revolved around the flashiest internships and the highest paying jobs after graduation. I bet I'm not alone on stage when I say, I frequently felt insecure about getting an internship for the summer or a job for after graduation. Worse yet, even if I got an internship, what if I didn't like it? Then what? I learned that's okay. Even though I don't dream about public accounting and I don't have a passion for auditing, I accepted my offer from Deloitte and I'm excited to work with them full time after graduation. Why am I so excited to work in public accounting if I don't define myself as an auditor? How can I be successful if my job isn't my first passion? My internship made me think hard about how I define success, which I'd never really contemplated before. My experiences during my internship made me realize I derive my success not necessarily from the work I completed, but from getting to know the other interns as we volunteered together at a secondhand store and the meaningful conversations we have at lunch each day. The extent to which I could connect with the people around me meant more in my decision to work there than the kind of work I was completing. I felt successful when I got to learn more about my employees and hear stories about their families, as well as share my own. I celebrated with my boss, Maureen, as she shared stories of her daughter and their new family dog. My mentor, Britton, and we shared music playlists after she found out my secret love for One Direction. After my coworkers found out I played soccer growing up, they brought me with them to their weekly pickup games. Many employees in the office were raised outside the US and told me stories of their childhood in places like Seoul, Hyderabad, and Kota Kinabalu, and then about their experience moving to the US for their college education. The value of our Tippie degrees goes further than just getting us our first job. The unique value resides in our ability to create relationships with the people around us and develop one another. By graduating from the Tippie College of Business, we are now prepared to build up and elevate our coworkers through our relationships. Being a Tippie graduate means we care about more than the work. We care about the people around us. We can solve problems not just in the workplace, but problems in life. We are ready to help those around us no matter where we are. Even if we don't always enjoy the work we do, the fulfillment will come from the relationships we build with the people around us. These relationship skills will drive our success as leaders. Graduates, we're all receiving a degree from a school with a strong reputation, one where we will never be alone wherever we go. Hawkeyes live around the world, and we now get to share in that culture that's given us so much. We've all created meaningful and lasting relationships, and in doing so, created relationship-building skills. Let's use those skills and be compassionate leaders in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. At this time, we would like to recognize those students graduating with honors and academic distinction. The Tippie College of Business awards degrees with highest distinction to students in the highest 2% of the graduating class, with high distinction to students in the next highest 3%, and with distinction to students in the next highest 5%. Distinction is designated by gold stars worn on the left sleeve. 3 stars indicate graduation with highest distinction, 2 with high distinction, and 1 with distinction. As I call each group of students, please rise to be recognized. Audience, I ask that you hold your applause until all students graduating with distinction have been recognized. Will those graduating with highest distinction please stand? Will those graduating with high distinction please stand? And will those graduating with distinction please stand? Please join me in congratulating these students. They will also be recognized individually during the presentation of the graduates. Membership in Beta Gamma Sigma is the highest recognition a business student can earn. To be eligible for membership, students' individual academic ranking must place them in the upper 10% of the junior class or in the upper 10% of the senior class. Students graduating as members of Beta Gamma Sigma wear royal blue and gold cordons draped over their shoulders. Would the students graduating as members of Beta Gamma Sigma please stand? Congratulations. We would also like to recognize the students who are graduating in the Tippie College of Business Honors Program. This program provides an opportunity for outstanding students to do independent research in business and to work closely with one or more faculty members. Each of the students graduating with honors has maintained a 3.5 grade point average and written a thesis relevant to their academic interest or major. Students graduating with honors wear white cordons draped over their shoulders and will be recognized during the presentation of the graduates.
Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Business Administration please rise? Okay. That would be you. Wow. Provost Fuentes, These candidates have completed all of the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Business Administration and are recommended to you by the faculty of the Tippie College of Business for the conferring of this degree.
On recommendation of the faculty of the Tippie College of Business and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree Bachelor of Business Administration as qualified and designated.
Will the graduates please be seated? Ken Brown, the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Program and Professor of Management, will now recognize the graduates individually. Will the marshals please begin leading the graduates forward to be recognized?
Hashu Wu. Kan Yu. Rafi Milito. Grant Reffett. Aja Shao. Elizabeth Marie Hermanstofor. Lacey Sexton. Parth Ketan Boja. Madison Elizabeth Shook. Annie Riley. Martin Corrigan. Austin J. Lytle. Brody Logan. Spencer Shelton. Ryan Gallardo. Vin Nguyen. Peter James Davidson. Ryan Williams. Scott Andrew Tribby. Devin Hale. Thomas Shawaker. Jacob Pineda. Alex Thomas Knickerbocker. Emma Laporte. Mackenzie Gauze. Sienna Marie Spiglanen. Emma Boson. Troy Hammond. Jarrett Wunsch. Chase Radaball. Courtney Sadler. Ian William Johnson. Colin Heimbach. Chase Woods. Dominic Cozy. Anika Robb. Ryan Walter Zelenicka, with distinction, with university honors. David Matthews. Grace Cleveland Kupsik. Haley Ann Baldwin. Camry Hare. Drew Foster. Dylan Cook with distinction. Martin White. Daniel Peter Mueller. Jackson Giroux. Gabrielle Nielsen with distinction. Claudia Bresson. Macy Meredith. Tyler Rhodes. Bailey Hannah. Brenna Hafner with distinction. Amelia Tonner. William Weber. Garrett George Grimshaw. Nicholas Walsh with distinction. Jeffrey Getz. Jacob Getz. Lee Curran. Ryan Colby Funk. Gigi Dai. Kevin Kinsley. Grant Murphy. Mark Bornhofen. Allison Parker Grandos. Laura Zuba with high distinction. Kyle A. Kratchmer. Chase Robert Kooning with high distinction with university honors. Mallory Szynski. Ryan Avalos. Benjamin Smiley. Catherine Baca. Marissa A. Risselli. Joseph Gerald Gaida. Noah Mottet. Garrett Miller. Tim Ridgway. Evan Hopper. Dibakar Das. Sien Kim. Jongmin Kim. Sam Polishek. Todd Finley. Thomas Schick with highest distinction. Clayton Slack. Tanner Berger. Zhao Jian Chao. Jika Ma. Hujun Shim. Juyung Song Jin Lee. Benjamin Wellendorf. Ryan Olson. Raymond Clark. Marissa Southern. Brenna Catherine McCabe. Sarah Vorwerk. Kaylee Peterson. Alexandria Tara Marie Watkins. Jaden Meeks. Nicholas Patrick Gordon. Nate Bishop. Alexander James Aller. Tyler Patrick Eads. Logan Stevens. Joshua Warder. Jacob Cleland. Greg Schneider. Tong Wu. Peng Che. Fan Wu. Lu Ching Zhang. Minyao Hong. Lian Zhang. Michael Nieber. Nicholas Steinke. Jiwon Zhang. Jingyi Wang. Xianyi Qin. Danis Men. Rita Elaine Schneider. Daniel Pessman. Danielle Lopez. Kyle Douglas Olson. Colin Horvath. Preston Everts. Nicholas Brand. Jacob Eminger. Donlin Yong. Samuel Hansen. Stephanie Board. Alexis Miller. Daniela Pacheco. Zachary Allen Hartzler. Aaron Burns. Aaron Ann Kinney. Madeline Nemeth. Harmeet Kaur Hanjura. Kezia Ann George. Jalen Elman Rose. Andrew Howard. Zhang Ao. Xiangyu Liu. Kiyu Ban. Suzy Xu. Jiangchao Liao. Junyi Chao. Shiyu Xing. Feifan He. Wei Huang. Penny Zhang. Chong Shi. Haley Arkfeld. Paige Wag. Sadie Andrews. Reagan Wasson. Juan Park. Grayson Carlson. Jacqueline Fairholm. Emily Hoff, Ushen Lim, Bailey Klein with highest distinction, Rebecca O'Brien, Sarah Yannick with high distinction, Kyle Speckman, Dylan Sembrano with distinction, Anna Bunn, Andrea Rodriguez, Shelby Honig, Jake Mitchell, Lindsay Jefferson, Janine Burchett, Amanda Jacobozzi, Robert Chase Summer, Dylan Cox, Victoria G. Shane, Benjamin Vassley, Joshua Christopher Thompson, John Coach, Christian Peterson, Jack McMahon, Ashton Hatteen, Marcus Topping with distinction, Kelly DeGeorge, Paige Overmole with high distinction, Brian Carney with high distinction with university honors, Brandon Kuhn with high distinction, Tyler Costello, Kylie Beneke with high distinction, Carolyn Johnson, Carly Marie Strathman, Taylor Joe Digman, Ellie Nicole Davley, Kristen Wegman, Sarah Obrecht, G. Tiang Liao with distinction, Yukun Xing, Gus Zuccaro, Jim Postma, Harrison Verme, Brandon Timothy McGinnis, Jonathan Koval, Christopher Winnicky with high distinction with university honors, Eric Kozakar, Haixin Zhao, Chinin Wong, Sun Shun, Renjia Tong, Weijiao Jiang, Mingji Sun, Alexander Egan, Morgan Donahue, Thomas Kenneth Kramer, Daniel McDermott. The turning of the tassel is the traditional gesture by which each student signifies passage from degree candidate to graduate. And even if I mispronounce your name, you do still graduate. Will each of you now mark your new status by turning the tassel of your cap from the right side to the left side now? We congratulate each and every one of you, and then the podium is Dean Gardiels for the last time.
We are very proud of Tippie's class of 2019. For those of you in the audience, we feel your pride as well, because you should also be proud of what you have done to help these graduates accomplish their goals. Your guidance, your support, understanding, compassion, your faith in their abilities, and your love and support have been critical to their success. For what you have done to help these graduates, we thank you. Graduates, today marks a personal milestone in your life. You have received a degree from the University of Iowa's Tippie College of Business. You have worked hard toward this goal. You have faced many challenges, made discoveries about yourselves and others, and grew into leaders who will make differences in our communities. We hope that in the years to come, you will finally remember your time in the Tippie College. I know that I will. And please stay engaged with Tippie in the years to come. Your continued support as an alumna in time, talent, and treasure will help keep this college great in the same way that the alumni have supported you while you were here. Congratulations and best of luck to you in the future. And now we conclude today's commencement ceremony. I ask that everyone please remain seated until the recessional is complete. The platform party will leave first, followed by the graduates. Good afternoon.